Hello everyone and welcome back to Malevolent Elephant. Man oh man, the horror movie of the decade, and I'm not kidding. Maybe the horror movie of the last 2 decades. Hereditary, which stars Toni Collette, who plays Annie, and is the mother of a house that, let's just say, is the source of a lot of crazy crap happening. Hereditary is directed by Ari Aster, and this is actually the first movie he's ever directed, which, I mean, if this is the start, I am looking so forward to seeing more of his films. Annie is the mother of Charlie, played by Milky Shapiro, and actually this is her first movie as well, who is the most evil-looking, crazy, demonish-looking child that you've probably ever seen. But man, oh man, if you haven't seen this movie, I don't want to spoil it for you, but I'm just going to say Annie loses her mother, and then a lot of crazy stuff starts happening. She finds out about her bloodline, about her heritage, and there's just a lot of supernatural, psychological stuff going on, and this feels very much like Rosemary's Baby / The Conjuring / The Exorcist. I mean, it is a crazy movie. But I'm here to tell you 5 reasons I believe this will go down as one of the greatest horror films of all time. Number 5 is tiny budget. That's right, I didn't stutter. If you follow me for a little while, you know one of the things I appreciate in horror films is, let's just say, a lack of CGI, which usually is what takes up some of these huge budgets. Of course, along with having A-list actors, but you don't need that for a great horror film. In fact, the less the better. And this film mastered that, much like The Conjuring did when it first came out. The masterful use of camera angles, sound, the music score that they used, I mean, it was absolutely wonderful. And it really created a lot of tension throughout the movie because they didn't rely on creepy jump scares and flashy CGI throughout most of the movie. There was some CGI, granted. I mean, you can't really do a movie like this without CGI. But I would say for this kind of movie, which was over 2 hours long, I would say it's a minimal amount for a horror film, especially a psychological, supernatural type of film. So I thought they did a great job at keeping the budget down so they couldn't rely on crappy CGI effects. So I just really appreciated that about Hereditary. Number 4 is the religious overtones. Now listen, one of the reasons The Exorcist works so well, I mean, people were having panic attacks. I mean, when it came out, it was such a taboo movie just because it dared really, focus on the devil. And that element of it is what still, I think, creeps people out much more than Linda Blair shooting pea soup out of her mouth. This movie, Hereditary, again, I won't spoil the movie, but it does have a sort of a religious, element to it. And I think in a lot of people's minds, that makes it realistic to a degree. And I think that for sure makes it even scarier and makes it harder for people to sleep at night. It doesn't beat you over the head with it. And I wouldn't say it has as much of religious overtone as maybe The Exorcist has. I think, that's debatable. You should see the movie for yourself and tell me what you think. But I think just that element, just kind of lurking in the background, really adds to the intrigue of this film. And they did it well. I give them all the credit. Number 3 is the slow burn. Now, slow burn is a polarizing topic for people that watch horror films. Some people hate slow burn. Some people want, instant action. Some people want a sort of microwavable, make me jump out of my chair type of horror film that's just full of jump scares and cheap CGI. But me, that's not what I enjoy. I enjoy plot building, characters that we care about. So when something does happen to them, we give a damn because they built a sort of rapport with us. I love that. I love a slow burn. Heck, I don't mind a 2-hour movie being an hour and a half very slow just to give me 30 minutes of hell at the end. No pun intended. And I think Hereditary did that very well. Now, the slow burn, let's get this straight. It was slow burn, but it was tension throughout the movie. I don't know how Ari Aster did that, but the way that he held you at the edge of your seat. I mean, if you wanted to go pee, you was holding that in. I mean, you didn't want to miss a minute because you just felt, oh, coming around that corner is going to be something, not a jump scare, but just something important. And it held your attention the whole movie. But looking back, it was pretty slow. I mean, they really took their time to develop these characters and did an excellent job with that. And, it's something I appreciate about great horror films. The Conjuring, of course, The Exorcist is pretty slow burn. I just love that. I appreciate movies that take their time. You don't need to rush. You don't need to beat me over the head with gore or with ghosts or any of that kind of stuff. Let it build. Let it build for the big payoff. And Hereditary did that well. Number 2 is the superb acting. Listen, I can't remember the last time in a horror film that we saw acting on this level. I mean, everybody did their thing, especially Toni Collette and Milky Shapiro, who plays Charlie. I mean, the acting, I just don't know. I don't know if it's just that this cast just bonded well together, but you couldn't ask for more. And when you see Hereditary, you'll know what I'm talking about. Whether you love the movie or you don't. There are people that, didn't love it, as much as I did, but I mean, it's got over a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and that's not an accident. I mean, this is a great horror film. And a lot of that is the acting. I mean, they really, really put their whole heart and soul. The whole cast did. I mean, even some of the, the lesser characters that you didn't see much of. I mean, the acting was just A1. And it, to me, makes this movie memorable, especially when it comes to horror films, just because the acting was just on another level. I mean, you just don't see that from horror films, because horror films don't really demand that per se of their cast. Horror mostly demands, a good plot and a great director that knows what he or she or they are doing, and, good tension building, and, just don't be cheesy. I mean, it's not an accident that most of the great horror films of all time, they don't have A-list actors or actresses, because you don't really need them. But if you do get great acting out of your cast, it takes the film to another level. And Hereditary did that to a degree that I just haven't seen in a very long time. Number 1 is Toni Collette. Let me tell you something. You know how when you think of Heath Ledger, you automatically think of Joker, right? Like, I know he's in other movies, but when you say Heath Ledger, you think of Joker. When you hear Al Pacino, as great as an actor as he is, you kind of think of Scarface, right? Don't you? When you think of Robert Downey Jr., you think of Iron Man, don't you? When you hear Toni Collette's name 20 years from now, you will think of Annie. This woman, if she does not get an Oscar nod for playing Annie, I don't know what to tell you. She was fantastic. And to see her go through all the emotional ups and downs, and to see her character just really evolve to, let's just say what it evolved to at the end. I mean, it was awe-inspiring, and I just haven't seen anything like that probably since Linda Blair in The Exorcist. Just to see a character that you saw the whole journey, basically, right? So Toni Collette, I really hope, and she's getting a lot of Oscar buzz for her role of playing Annie, which, as you know, is very uncommon. The Oscars do not favor horror at all, right? But this is an exception, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic here. She did her thing. She was fantastic, and among the other reasons that I listed, and it was a great film overall, but she is the biggest reason that this is one of the greatest horror films of all time. Thanks for watching. Have you seen Hereditary yet? What did you think of it? 1 to 10. And let me know why down in the comment. Also, let me know what your favorite supernatural film of horror film is that you've ever seen. Let me know down below in the comments. As always, don't forget to like or dislike this video, as this really helps me out. And don't you dare leave without subscribing. See you next time.